Hey, what up everybody? This is Stevie Breach coming to you. Tonight I watched WWE main event on the WWE Network. So today would be July 22nd, 2014. And this came in with 4 matches in right about an hour. I honestly don't like what main event has become. This is more of a sort of WWE rewind show with 4 of the matches basically being pretty short. In between those matches, they ran sort of, this is what happened on Monday Night Raw. Honestly, in my opinion, if you watched WWE's main event, you watched Monday Night Raw. It's almost as dumb as when you're watching Monday Night Raw and they show you what happened. Like, they have some action, they have a commercial, they come back from a commercial and they say, this just happened on Monday Night Raw. It's an unneeded sort of recap moment. You know, maybe if this had happened the week before and you were trying to hype us towards SummerSlam, it would make sense. But I honestly don't have much to complain about because this is basically the way that main event was before it was on the network when it was on Ion. It still was the same thing. It just doesn't really make sense with this being on Tuesday now instead of being on Thursday. I really did like it. But in the opening match, we saw Seth Rollins come out there and wrestle against Fandango. Pretty fast squash match, nothing much there. And then the next one, the second this match started, I was like, oh shit. It looks like Ryback has become the #1 contenders to the tag titles, and that's a match that I'm not really looking forward to seeing at SummerSlam. The Wyatts and the Usos had a good 7, 8, 9 matches, and the 2 out of 3 falls at Battleground. It doesn't really make sense to give the Usos another shot at going after the championships there. And of course, we saw Ryback pick up the win against Biggie Langston and Kofi Kingston on Raw, but it can only make sense that that's where they're going with this, with Jey Uso and Ryback going one-on-one. Ryback actually had some good time in this match. Most of the time when we see him on Raw, it's a few minute matches and it's over. This one was probably at least 7 or 8 minutes, I would think. And Ryback ended up winning with the meat hook clothesline. It was because it seemed that Jey had this match in the bag. It wasn't wrapped up yet. Of course, Ryback's a hard guy to keep down, but Curtis Axel had jumped up on the apron trying to get involved into the ring, and then Jimmy Uso came running and did a dive off the steps, taking out Curtis Axel, and because of that, Jey was watching the action on the outside, and that's when Ryback ran over and took advantage of the match, hitting the meat hook clothesline that he tried to go for earlier in the match, and it was lights out and over. From there, we went to Kofi Kingston and Big E wrestling against Heath Slater and Titus O'Neil, a team that got 2 backstage promos trying to get over the fact of Heath Slater wants them to be a team, and Heath Slater wants his team name to be Slater Gator. Titus O'Neil honestly really wants no part of Heath Slater, doesn't want anybody anywhere near him. But this is his job, this is what he's going to do, and Titus O'Neil is trying to keep Heath Slater in line in what's going down. Basically, this match was pretty short. Before the match, as Big E and Kofi came down to Big E's theme, Xavier Woods was in the background, and then right when they got up to where the ring was, he came to run to the forefront and told these guys that we've gone over the plan. All you guys have to do is just go in there and just knock it out. It doesn't seem like he's trying to be some big sort of he just seems like he's sort of like a motivational speaker to him. He's not really turning into Malcolm X or Martin Luther King or something like that. He's just seems like he's Xavier Woods, and maybe this angle isn't going to go as far as a lot of people was thinking that it was going to go. It just happens to be the 3 black guys in the ring, and they're gonna try to go out and they're gonna try and win some matches. They're gonna try to take the respect they think that they're owed. They have a good finisher, which is Biggie Langston picks him up and does the backbreaker, boom, right over his knee, and then Kofi Kingston, showing off his top rope skills, jumps up on the top rope, and he comes up with a double foot stomp onto the guy that Biggie Langston is holding. Seems to be their finisher. They did this to Titus O'Neil, and then they also did it to Heath Slater. Biggie Langston picked Heath Slater up and put him on top of Titus O'Neil as if Heath Slater was the man that was going to pin him. And Biggie Langston climbed up on top of them to sort of show that they took out both of these guys. and left him laying there in the center of the ring. And then the main event of the match, main event of main event would be basically Jack Swagger against Rusev. The match that basically all the dirt sheets said, this whole angle had been put on hold, just because it was on Monday Night Raw. It seems everybody wants to jump to conclusions. I don't know what my big deal is of calling out the dirt sheets, but it seems this is like the third story in 2 days that they've made a big deal about. Of course, one is the retirement of the big gold belt. And they weren't going to bring that up. And then Cena just walked out with it on the pay-per-view. Everybody wanted to say that he killed it off by handing it to Ric Flair. I can't remember what the other story was that was out there. And then this one, of course, would be that they're putting the bricks on Jack Swagger, thinking that maybe the match didn't get it over as well. But then here it is on the main event, and it seems that it's going to go somewhere because Swagger won this match by DQ, and Rusev basically got fed up with the match. He hit Swagger with the Russian flag over his back, and that was enough to knock Swagger down, but it wasn't enough to stop the fight because Swagger wanted to bring this to him. And basically, they were really getting over the fact that I think they were trying to make the fact that Jerry Lawler messed up when he was talking about the fact that, basically Swagger had to tap out. They went over the whole storyline of events where, Swagger had the ankle locked onto Rusev, who's still selling that his ankle is still hurt in this match, and that, Swagger had it on twice, had it on outside of the ring, and basically Rusev was able to kick Swagger off, who ran into the ring post coincidentally, who took the 10 count. And that's how it won. I know they said it different on Monday, and some people played it up as if WWE's rewriting history that we saw the night before. But it seems like they're just trying to point the fingers at Lawler, saying that Lawler made a mistake. Zeb was able to take the flag away from Rusev, and Swagger chased him around for a little bit before they finally gave it back, and Swagger was able to have his American flag waving to end main event, showing everybody that USA was still standing tall, and that more than likely this is going to be a rivalry that's going to be going to SummerSlam. So hands up to Jack Swagger. I'm going to do it real fast. My wife's right there, and she's probably going to get pissed. We, the people,